Hello everyone, I recently saw talk online about Baldur's Gate 3 and its recent patch 8, the final update to the game, and it's a game I love and I would like to talk about it. Baldur's Gate 3, if you have not heard, is a single player game with optional multiplayer, using turn-based combat and stunning graphics to engross the player in the world it creates in the D&D Faerun setting. You create your own character or choose from one of the possible 7 pre-made characters that all have backstories and a bunch of unique aspects. This game came out in August of 2023, and since then it's been a top seller on Steam. As far as I'm aware, it has been in the top seller list and has never left since its release. Now that the game has reached its final update, or at least it will be in 4 days after writing the script, I would like to talk about how the game took over and how Baldur's Gate 3 proved the gaming industry wrong. Hey, if you end up liking this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and now back to the video. August 3rd, 2023. I was on my hiatus from my main channel, and I played the game for the first time 4 days after its release, only having been recommended by 3 separate people at that time. I bought it on the first day, but only had time to play it then. I made my first character, Harvey Greybook, a paladin, and began the game. Many people had the same experience I had, going through the game completely blind and loving the experience, and it has made Baldur's Gate 3 a game with a fan base even bigger than its world, characters, and story. It had over 800,000 people playing at once at one point near launch, and has never dropped below 80,000 concurrent players since launch. This is a huge release, and a massively successful one at that, but what made it that way? Over the last few years, one game type has been bloating the market: live service games. These games are games where you spend money and time into a game to earn in-game rewards to either customize your character, give you an advantage in-game, or more. An example of this kind of game would be something like Fortnite, which pioneered the genre, Call of Duty Warzone, Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel, or most recently, Marvel Rivals. Fortnite, for example, is a game where you spend money on skins that rotate through the shop, giving you FOMO, or the fear of missing out, if you do not buy the skin in the store, because it can only come back in a really long time or not at all in some cases, because the skins rotate in and out of the store. In most cases, they do not give you advantage in game, but can quickly cause a game to do so, like with our other example, Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel. Master Duel is a card game based system. Playing the card game of Yu-Gi-Oh!, which I have really played since the 5Ds era, I tried playing the game, and after all the tutorials, I played the game 4 times, twice to play with a friend who had the game, and twice online. And all the times I played online, I lost by turn 2 by people who spent a lot of money on packs and cosmetics. These types of games are not only profitable for companies, but also addicting for those who play them, not wanting to miss out on time-sensitive options or wanting to spend money to keep up with the current curve of the other players. This has been engulfing the games market for over the last few years, so much so that big studios are saying that single-player games are dying, all the way back since 2017. This, however, is far from the case, with many single-player games coming out like Breath of the Wild, Super Mario Odyssey, Nier Automata, South Park: The Fractured But Whole, and Night in the Woods, just to name a few in 2017 alone. There were a large number of successful and great single-player games, or single-player games with the option of multiplayer, so why was this the consensus of the reviewer and the game companies? Money. It was money. Simple as that. That's because a single-player game could not be consistently monetized. Because single-player games, aside from the cosmetics and extra items, single-player games are hard to monetize without a huge amount of effort to add a large amount of content to a game, such as an expansion DLC like with Skyrim and Dawnguard. Live service games, however, are easily monetizable, with a new skin being comparatively easy and quick to make, and can sell for at least $5 in most places, if not more. They can also add special items, bundles, and other things to give people other skins, helpful items, or even EXP bundles to give that player an advantage. Doing it in a single-player game would kind of defeat the point of most cases. Skins and cosmetics, yeah, that makes sense. Put that twink in a maid costume, you won't hear me complaining. But EXP bonuses and extra items can cause an imbalance in the game's systems, like giving a person a lot of extra gold in session 0 of a D&D campaign. Yeah, it's an advantage, but it's also just diminishing the fun you have by making it too easy or too immersion breaking. Overall, money is the reason why a lot of people said single player games were dying, but then Baldur's Gate 3 came along and everything changed. That is when the Fire Nation attacked, but for good this time. Baldur's Gate 3 opened up with a huge amount of fanfare and a large amount of sales. Selling at $60 a pop, we can look at the Steam revenue calculator to see how much net revenue they would have made just from selling the game. And looking at that number, it is massive, a whopping $550 million. That is over 5 times the game's budget of $100 million. This single-player, story-based game was a huge success, and something that utterly baffled the gaming market. In March of this year, it has been said that it has sold over 15 million copies, outselling Black Ops 6 with 450,000, Mortal Kombat 1 with 5 million, and even outsold Monster Hunter Wilds that sold 10 million copies thus far. It doesn't beat out things like Rainbow Six Siege, but it has been massively impressive for the number that shook the game's market, as well as many people in the game industry thought the game was going to middle in sales and not be anything noteworthy. However, the overall reception of the game, as well as the people saying that it was refreshing to have a solo experience, non-DLC heavy game, was a wonderful thing. However, everything was not all sunshine and rainbows. Other people in the industry, such as other developers, and even the developers of Baldur's Gate 3 themselves, had to say that the game should not be the standard for RPGs in the future. That is a great point, but it's missing some context I would like to be stated. It should not be the new standard for RPGs, it should be the standard for gaming in the gaming industry as a whole. Let me explain with full context. This game is a wonder to begin with, amazing art, story, and more, but that's not what I mean by it being the new standard. I mean it in the way that developers handled the game, and its success is why I'm thinking other companies are shaking in their boots. They not only put out DLC and patches, but even added mod support to the game. They did it all for free. That's what I'm getting at. Larian Studios, the company behind the game, is really attuned with its fanbase, listening to what they want from the dev team and implanting those changes, without asking for anything in return. And you know why? They already paid for the game in full, and it wouldn't be a full package if without all the updates and fixes, so why would they charge for them? This mentality is not shared by many gaming companies, with many of them charging for even the most minute things, like even having a different hairstyle for your character. However, in Baldur's Gate 3, you can download a free mod pack that gives you more hairstyles. You want a cool weapon in the game that you have to do a quest for? In other games, you can pay your way through and just get the item, while in Baldur's Gate 3, you have to actually work hard for it, and it feels earned. This game is setting the standard in the way that game companies should behave, and that if they should behave as such, they will receive more love and promotion from the community that they have cultivated. I know I recommended Baldur's Gate 3 to a few of my friends because of the way Larian works on their games and those running it behind the scenes. They are running it like they are thankful for their community, like people are actually behind the screen and they're not just money cows that need to be milked for that extra dollar. That is what I am talking about. The mindset of the developers should be the standard for the gaming market, not the graphics, not the story, hell, not even the characters. There are amazing games out there with not so great graphics or a pixel style, like for example the great games with great developers like Enter the Gungeon with Dodge Roll, Fields of Mistral with NPC Studios, or Night in the Woods with Fungi, and even Hollow Knight with Team Cherry. They're all great developers with loyal and kind fan bases. These companies and Larian Studios are setting a standard that not many of the industry like, because it is a standard of quality and partnership instead of profiteering and exploitation, and people have noticed. I've seen many people talk about this game and its effect on the gaming market, and I agree with a lot of their points, but I also want to show you that Baldur's Gate 3 isn't just a statement or a game, nor a dating sim / RPG. It is an example of what the game industry should look like, in the way that developers to players act like Undertale with Toby Fox, or the local thunk with Balatro. This is a way games should be, not a money milker, nor a cheap cash grab for your cash, but as an experience to be had and fun to be enjoyed. That's why we play games to begin with. That's what Baldur's Gate 3's reception was to me, and how Baldur's Gate 3 broke the industry. Hey guys, thank you for watching. Firstly, I'd like to thank some people. Firstly, I would like to thank Bushi, my artist, for these wonderful sprites. Go check them out in the description and give them a follow on Blue Sky. As well as my patrons, Zerky Tree News, Nix Hunter, Vixenville, and Weeb Person. Thank you so much. Just so you know, the giveaway from the last video is going to end soon, depending on when the next episode of Essence and Encounter comes out, so stay tuned for that. Now, I hope you all enjoyed the video. Support your local game shops, enjoy your adventures, and roll safely. Safe travels!